Hi everyone, what is good? Welcome back to part 2 of testing out the Arteza 36 count watercolor. I just said it was the 36 count. These are the pan paint. Oh, whoops, got a little ahead of myself there. But we have done the swatches and, oh, there I go knocking stuff over again. Tiny workspace, you know. I had created an extra swatch sheet off camera to keep in the tin itself because I realized that when I did my initial swatches, I didn't exactly do them in any sort of order, or kind of did a reverse order, starting with violet there, and then, yeah, it's kind of all over the place, so I made myself a nice little mobile swatch sheet, but this was still a lot of fun to do and it still serves its purpose. So yeah, there you go. There's a quick recap. However, I will have a link to this video in the description below. And there was something on there. I hate that. Ah! Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask, what do you think of the updated background? Now, for the longest time, I had just been using that brown masonite board because it was what I had available. It was a smooth, flat surface. Because here, let me show you. This is what my table actually looks like. Yeah, that's not really good for doing art on flat out, so gotta move this to the right position again. Okay, let's get my train of thought back on the rails. Anyways, that was just what I had at the time, and so I used it. However, it was magical. I got to go into Hobby Lobby again. I know. I actually got to go into a store that wasn't a grocery store and actually shop around and not feel guilty about it. So that was amazing. And I picked up the largest size white flat board that was available, and oh look, I think I've already marred it. Oh well, that's what it's here for. I'm hoping that even this small change will make the visibility better, so if you guys could let me know in the comments, I would very much appreciate it. Also, I will see if I can actually use these in this video. I know I said I was going to use it in the first one, but all I needed was that one brush. So yeah, we'll try out the Ohuhu Water Brushes. I'm especially hoping to get to use the flat brushes because I've used water brushes before, but they've always been round. I finally have some flat ones, so I am really looking forward to that. Also, I had picked up one of these. Okay. Technically 2 of these, but these are little eyedropper bottles. And I figured that while yes, I usually have my handy dandy squirt bottle here, these ones are much smaller and much more controlled. So if you only want to wet a couple of colors, this is a good way to do it. Because there is, of course, the old dip the brush. I can't articulate my words today. Dip the brush in the water, like this number. Yeah, I mean, that takes for freaking ever, but that way also does work, but this is easier. And both of these little bottles were like $2, and look, you've got the adorable little eyedropper and everything. Look at that. So if you're into watercolors, something like this might be a good investment. Anyways, I've been yap. Let's actually get to doing some painting, shall we? Okay, so I had to move things around, trying to make room, get things ready with my brand new background. I do apologize for the glare right here, but this is where I had to put my watercolor palette. I mean, look at this thing. It's pretty big. And it's pretty good size. I mean, here it is in comparison to my hand and part of my arm. It's big. So please bear with me. As for what I intend to draw today, or in this case, paint, well, I've been thinking to myself, at the time of recording this video, it's nearly summer. And I've been feeling a lot of summery vibes. Now, the one thing that really reminds me of summer, it is one of my absolute favorite fruits in this entire universe. So I just want to do a little bit of practicing here, just a little bit of free painting. I know, I'm just going right in, no line art, no nothing. I'm just going to dive in for a bit of practice. I'm sure you can tell by the shape now what it is I am thinking of. Now, to me, watermelon just screams, summer! I'm here! Love me! Because quite honestly, I am kinda through with cold and dreary weather. I know, ironic, I live in Washington. Cold and dreary weather is kind of a staple here. But dang it, I am so done with that. I want sunshine and flowers and pretty. I am just so done with the cold and the dreary. And, well, one of my favorite summertime treats, aside from the obvious, ice cream. I love me some watermelon. I cannot say enough nice things about this particular fruit. However, if I had to pick one bad thing, it's a pain in the butt to prepare. However, that sweet goodness, oh, it is worth it at the end. Watermelon, I love you. So I am gonna be definitely doing something watermelon themed. I think I made it obvious enough. I hope so. Plus trying out how these paints work. Oh boy, that might be using too thick of a brush there. Abort mission. Okay, so was this even really what I was intending, or did it just come out as a hot mess? I'll let you decide, but I think that the answer is yes. Okay, I'm gonna try out this is the one that just came in the kit. Don't worry, I will use the Ohuhu ones. I'm just gonna try something a little different. Yeah, I think that practice one came out looking a little bit too dark, although I might revisit it when it dries and try something else. Yeah, this one I'm gonna see about actually being more patient with it. I know, me being patient, who'd have thought? Now then, of course, one of the staples of watermelon is that lovely pinkish red flesh. However, this set does present a tiniest little bitty bit of a problem. There is only one pink, which is the magenta. So we gotta get creative. However, this set does come with a few reds. So let's try mixing it up a bit. I'm gonna leave a white border. One of the most satisfying things in the world is a perfect watermelon wedge, especially like that first bite right on there, right at the tip. Oh my god, am I gonna get demonetized for that? Okay. Like that first bite is just so freaking good. Yeah, like it is just the perfect amount of sweet. And oh my gosh, I just like talking about all of this, I think I might have to just get one next time I go shopping, just because I haven't had one in a while, just because of the before mentioned, yeah, it's a pain in the butt to prepare, but now that I've been talking about it, I want a slice of watermelon so bad. I can kind of sort of taste it, but not actually taste it, and I want one. Oh, do I want some watermelon. Okay, so I'm gonna try adding a little bit of scarlet to this, darken it up a bit. Ooh, that actually worked out really nice. I'm gonna use a dry brush to kind of lift a little bit of that color. Yeah, okay, and I definitely think that this paper does kind of cause the paint to feather out a little bit. Look at that. So, something to be aware of if you're gonna use this paper. Although I'm gonna be using it because here I go, never used it once in my life, and say, yeah, I could use 3 of these. I'll use them. So something to bear in mind. While we let that one dry, let's brighten up this one, because we can. Add a little bit of yellow, of lello. And I want to let this dry before trying to add the stripes again. Okay, so I'm really glad I waited until the paint dried before I added the stripes there, and of course the little dots for the seeds. I know that typically when I eat watermelon I like to go for the seedless kind, but just to emphasize watermelon, I figure that the seeds, it adds a little extra pop. And I just decided to test out some colors because I had spare space there. Now then, I do notice, like, I'm not sure how much of this is the paper and how much of it is the paint. I suspect the paper. However, I may just have to do a test like that on a later, a test on that on a later date. However, now that I've got some watermelon, which were a lot of fun to paint actually, these silly little watercolor doodles were a lot of fun. It's time to get to the main subject of what I had in mind. Now then, give me a sec. While waiting for the watercolor paint to dry, I had begun sketching this up. Now then, as you can clearly see, it is not finished yet at this point in time, although I will finish it later. However, the base concept is still there. I really wanted to do a sea dragon of sorts with watermelon colors and patterns. I don't know why, I just thought that would be so much fun. So I'm gonna try it. I was gonna do a quick practice sketch wash here and then do a full piece on the next page. So with that being said, let us begin. Alright, so here we are. Not bad at all, I should say. Now, next step. I need to go get these filled up, so... just a sec. Okay, I got these bad boys filled up. So, let us begin. Get some of that nice, absolutely delightful bright green. Ooh, that's really, really nice. I like the aquash brush. Really been wanting to try out the flat one for a while, and I just couldn't wait. I'm very curious to see how this works with a pencil line art. Well, color pencil if you want to get super specific. But overall, I am really enjoying these paints. Now then, this isn't gonna be a full-blown masterpiece. This is more of just a practice run, if you will. But I've basically only done swatches and doodles, and so I really wanted to jump into something. I'm sure you all could understand. You can test something until you're blue in the face, but the ultimate test is, well, doing this. Not half bad if I do say so myself. Also, I couldn't help but notice, like, this is the one that came with the Arteza, and this is the one, the Ohuhu one. I can't help but notice the similarities. I'm even wondering if these are basically the same thing. Here are the caps. This one just says Arteza, and it's red. This one has no name and it's green, but they look very similar. And if you still don't believe me, let me see if I can find the one. Okay, I think this one is a hair bigger. I'll let you be the judge. I know this one has been used, this one brand spanking new, but I think that they're the same thing, but you know what? I'm not even mad because you can't have too many of these. Anyways, I'm gonna finish up this wash and then I'm gonna do a full-blown masterpiece, so stick around for that. And I think that this whiteboard is gonna require a lot more maintenance than I initially thought. Silly me. Mostly I just wanted to test out my chosen color palette and patterns that I intended to use. That bright and lovely green paired with those nice dark forest green stripes. Combine that with lovely pinkish red. I'm terribly passionate about this fruit. Could you tell? Post below, what is your favorite fruit? I'm curious to know. Anyways, about this paint. It's easy to use, the cakes wet easily in the pans, they mix together beautifully. One thing that I forgot to mention in the previous video was that although this set comes with 36 colors, gray of any variety isn't one of them. Luckily, gray is one of the easier colors to mix up, but I did think that little detail was worth noting. However, for this piece, I was trying to avoid grays and any muddy colors, since I wanted to keep things bright and cheerful. Now, the paper. This Arteza watercolor paper. Well, it's nothing spectacular. Aside from the blooming and feathering issues, this paper is still plenty usable. Although, if you are specifically looking for the effects that I have just described, well, there you go. More power to you. Also, I have used various water brushes before. One was an older one from Arteza. The others were painfully cheap, no-name brands that I had ordered off of Wish.com. One thing that I noted right away while using the newer Arteza brush that came with the watercolor set and the Ohuhu water brushes was that they were not leaky like the older and cheaper ones that I had used before. These newer and better water brushes were much more enjoyable to use. The only time water came out was when I squeezed and the water actually flowed into the brush bristles, not just run down and loop down the side of the brush and just make a mess. So for roughly $9 for the set of 6, I'd recommend the Ohuhu water brushes gladly. Oh, Ohuhu, you guys have done it again. Honestly, I have nothing but nice things to say about their products. Now, something else to note about this paint. Once it's on the paper, it doesn't really re-wet all that well. On that note, you gotta work fast with this particular paint set, especially if you're planning to mix your colors on the page rather than in the palette. Just something I noticed, and important to keep in mind. If you've ever used any of the supplies featured in this video, feel free to post below. I always love to hear what you guys have to say. Okay, so here's the little test painting, and I have to say, I definitely think that these Arteza paints have their ups and downs. Overall, I enjoyed the experience. I think this turned out really, really cute. I am curious to do more with this basic dragon design. I think that the watermelon effects came out pretty nice overall. However, if I had to pick at a down, it's this feathering. I can only describe it as feathering effect. And like I said, I need to determine if it's the paper itself or if it's the paint. So you can guarantee that I will be breaking out this Arteza watercolor paper in the future. Now then, it it plays very nicely with other mediums. Like, I sketched down and it was perfectly lovely with the Col-Erase pencil, and so I'm pretty sure it'll also work with regular graphite and other mediums. However, another thing about the Arteza paint is that it doesn't necessarily re-wet very well on the paper. The little watercolor cakes in the container, in the palette, yeah, they re-wet with water just fine. Even when you've got premixed colors on the tray, they re-wet just fine. But on the paper, it doesn't re-wet and blend together all that well. Like, I had that really dark spot here that I did my best to cover up, and I think I made it work. But the fact that, unlike Daniel Smith, it's like you just dab a little bit of water on the brush, you put it on there, and it just melts together easy. These paints do not do that. So that is something to keep in mind. Now then, do I think that the Arteza paints are worth a get? Yes, I think that they are worth trying out. I mean, I am very happy that I had picked them up. It's okay to point out if there are some issues. It's okay. Things, like, you can have good and bad, and you just have to weigh the options yourself. Anyways, before I get on with deep philosophy about watercolor paints, it is time to sketch out a new drawing and do a more serious piece. Like, I wasn't really paying attention to stuff in this. It was just splash the colors down and have fun. But it's time to get serious. Seriously sweet, that is. I love watermelon!
Alright, that's it. I need an edible muse. Okay, I'm sorry, I really am, but time sorta got away from me while doing the practice piece, and shopping for an actual watermelon, I might add. So for the final painting, I'll have to refer you to part number 3.